Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sandy Frank's political podcast for a people's movement against the corporate fascist state. I'm Sandy Frank, the host of your podcast, and in today's episode, we are going to be talking about Islamophobia in the United States of America. The title of this video will be Islamophobia and how the United States of America is the biggest purveyor of terrorism in the history of the world. So let me say that again. The United States of America, and not Muslim people, are the greatest purveyor of terrorism. The United States of America is the greatest purveyor of terrorism, and the Muslim people have been thrown under the bus basically for all of modern history, basically all of history. But if we're talking about a post 9/11 world, we're definitely talking about the history of Islamophobia and bigotry put upon the people of Islam. Over 1 billion people. I'm not sure how much, but I know it's over 1 billion people. It's not 2 billion, but it's somewhere in the realm of 1 billion people in the world are Muslim. And the brainless corporate fascist United States of America has so intelligently, for the past since 9/11, helped to spread the lie throughout the world of Muslim people being violent or being radical. And so the image of the Muslim people that the United States of America corporate fascist state and their corporate fascist toady media, what they perpetuate over and over again through news report after news report after just constantly through the media and through just everything, they perpetuate that Muslim people are terrorists, and that is completely false. And the truth is that the United States of America and the global corporate fascist elitist extremist state are the actual purveyors of terrorism. So in my last video, I talked about hashtag Muslim ban, Donald Trump's ban on the 7 countries, 7 quote-unquote Muslim countries that the United States has, the corporate fascist states of America have deemed as dangerous terrorist states. They just so happen to also be the countries that this country has been bombing for how many years? For so many years. And that's really the ironic part. I guess we'll call it ironic. We'll call it ironic that people in the United States, that people in the corporate fascist states of America, the USA, who are right now bombing and are waging illegal warfare against 8 countries that did nothing against the United States of America. The United States of America are bombing and murdering and killing children in these countries, and then turning around and saying that the people of those countries who we're dropping bombs they're the violent ones. They're the terrorists. They are the uncivilized ones. Well, that's just frankly ridiculous. It's a ridiculous notion put out by the corporate fascist states of America, the Western global fascist states of the world. The West is really perpetuating this myth that the countries we are bombing and murdering people in are violent. So let's I'm going to be going back to this point throughout the entire show today, But yeah, so let's talk about what made me want to do this episode. So the last episode was about the Muslim ban, and this episode is about the United States being the biggest purveyor of terrorism in the history of the world. You know, this is someone like Noam Chomsky has talked about this a lot. Believe me, I am not the biggest fan of Noam Chomsky, but he definitely gets a lot of stuff right, especially when he says this. I'll say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it. These podcasts with me are going to get a little repetitive, but here we go again. The United States of America are the biggest purveyors of terrorism in the history of the world. That's in world history. And while we're at it, the former President Barack Obama, is the biggest warmonger in the history of the United States of America. And that is saying something. But let's get on to this topic that's really bothering me. Let's talk about Canada. Let's talk about the murder of I believe 6 innocent Muslim people who were doing nothing but practicing their faith peacefully, not harming anyone in the mosque in Quebec City. And let's talk about how the corporate fascist American media handled this story. You know, the other day when the news was just dropped. So the fact of what happened is that the shooter was a white Christian male who was also a huge supporter of Donald Trump, a Canadian white male who we're not going to say his name. We're not going to glorify him in the way he wants. This terrorist. Let's call him what he is. He is a extremist white male Christian terrorist, just like most of the people in the United States of America. But let's talk about how this was handled, and not just by the right-wing arm of the corporate fascist media, but the entire media, the MSNBCs and the CNNs and the NPRs and all of the fake progressives who are just as unctuous and disgusting in their covering of terrorism, radical Islamic terrorism that doesn't even exist, and their covering of these stories. So let's get into the story of what happened. So the second this story dropped, the second we had any information of what happened, all we knew is that a mosque in Quebec City had been shot up. It had been terrorized and people were murdered. We didn't have that much other information about it. We didn't know anything about the shooter. We didn't know anything about what happened. And then just right out of the gate, the Trump supporters and the right-wing extension of the corporate fascist media, the Fox Newses and the Breitbarts and the Drudge Reports, they all said that the shooter was Muslim. They came out. It was late at night when they decided to twist this bullshit narrative. And so I'm not sure who came out with it. I know that Fox News was reporting that it was the shooter was a Muslim. And then, of course, very, very quickly afterwards, the Canadian government released the statement that the shooter was a white male Christian Donald Trump supporter. So we have a blatant lie from the Trump camp, and we have this this bullshit narrative that has been, perpetuated by the, not just the right wing, but the entire whole of the corporate fascist establishment, the Rachel Maddow's, the John Olivers, the NPRs, the NBCs, all of these, and including Fox News too, since 9/11 have all been perpetuating the lie that Islam is violent, that, there is some sort of disproportionate amount of the followers of Islam who want to commit terrorism and want to commit jihad on the innocent, white, beautiful, blue-eyed, blonde-haired Aryans who are the saviors of the world. And again, this is the entire corporate fascist media perpetuating this bullshit. It's not just the Fox Newses. It's not just the Breitbarts and the Steve Bannons, which is what the point of this video is really going to get into. So I'm going to get back to talking about that, but there's just something else I wanted to talk about in order to lead up to the defining the entirety of the corporate fascist establishment, elitist media, painting the entire fascist media as Islamophobic. So let me continue my discussion. So last night I was on Facebook, as I'm wont to do. On Facebook. I'm subscribed to a lot of different groups, a lot of different political groups that don't share my opinion. Okay, I'm left-wing, anti-war. I am a Hegelian Marxist. I am a dialectical materialist. I'm a communist. Okay, so in my left-wing perspective of politics, I'm anti-war. I'm anti-imperialist warfare for profit, perpetuated since phony 9/11 in the United States. I'm pro-Islam and varying religious freedoms outside of white male Christianity. So that my perspective. But on Facebook, I'm subscribed to a lot of different political groups. I'm subscribed to a lot of libertarian groups and conservative groups and anarchist groups and progressive groups and liberal groups and establishment Republican groups and establishment Democrat groups. So I was looking at some of these groups, and I saw a meme. Everybody loves memes. Everybody is a big fan of the memeing. And the meme was the confession bear. I think we've all at least seen the confession bear. It is the picture is that of a bear who, the expression, the anthropomorphized expression on the bear's face is that of someone who's guilty, an expression of someone who's guilty, who's confessing something that might be an unpopular opinion. And so the meme, the words of the meme were, it said, I'm for the Muslim ban. So the confession bear was confessing that he's for the Muslim ban because he actually believes that the countries that we have banned, which have done nothing to the United States, in which the United States has been bombing and murdering people in for almost 2 decades now, the person who made the meme was saying that they are pro-banning and bombing and deporting and all of this. And so maybe in your head right now you're thinking that this meme had to have come from a conservative group or a libertarian group. Well, no, a lot of libertarians are against the bombing and the warfare, but you would think this meme would be in an establishment Republican Facebook group. Well, it wasn't. Let me tell you, I found this meme, excuse me, I found this pro-bombing, pro-banning, pro-deportation meme in an establishment Democrat Facebook group. Okay? So here's the major fucking problem with the establishment corporate fascist brainwashing state. So we have a lot of establishment Democrats who, for 8 years, under the horrific reign of terror of Barack Obama, the biggest warmonger in United States history, we had, excuse me, all of these establishment Democrats going along with the corporate fascist state to expand George Bush's 2 wars, the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, 2 wars that I hate, 2 wars that I think are nothing but imperialist warfare based on phony terrorist attacks that were perpetrated by the United States themselves. But so Bush left office with these 2 wars. And when Baby Obama, Baby Bomber Obama, when Barack Obama left office, he had expanded those 2 wars to 8. He left office with 6 more wars after, in 2008, campaigning on ending Bush's illegal warfare. So in 2008, Barack Obama campaigned on ending the illegal warfare in Iraq and Afghanistan, and ending the torture, and ending the droning, and ending the imperialist war for profit. And when Barry O left office, he had expanded the wars to 6 more countries: Libya, Syria, Pakistan, Somalia. Where else have we gone? I'm blanking on them right now, but we're bombing all over these places. And he had expanded the wars to 6 more countries. I'm driving right now, so I'm drawing a blank on the countries that our government has been murdering millions of innocent people in. Please forgive me. I'll somebody write in the comments all of the wars that we're in, because I include Pakistan. We've been in Pakistan for how many years now, and we've killed how many people illegally? Yeah, it's a war, friends. But I'm embarrassed that I'm blanking on these wars right now. But Barack Obama expanded the Islamophobic war state. Barack Obama expanded on the surveillance state. He expanded the Islamophobic culture of the fascist states of America. He expanded them. So now we find ourselves, and I saw this meme of these establishment Democrats who, ever since a few days ago, when Donald Trump was inaugurated the President of the United States of America, all of these establishment Democrats have come out of the woodwork of 8 years of silence, well, not even silence, the full-throated support for Barack Obama's Islamophobic genocide. Barack Obama's genocide of the people of these 8 nations. So So I want to just point out in this video the hypocrisy of the fake progressive, fake left, Democratic establishment, Rachel Maddow's, John Oliver's, Anderson Cooper's, NPR's, NBC's. I want to point out their extreme hypocrisy when it comes to Donald Trump's actions since he's been in office. And don't get me wrong, Donald Trump is an unctuous bastard. Donald Trump has already bombed 3 of these countries that Obama has been bombing for 8 years. Donald Trump has, I mean, it's no surprise that he campaigned on killing families and ramping up the bombing and the murder. But, So I want to just keep going with this, the hypocrisy of the fake progressive, fake left Democratic establishment. So they've all come out of the woodwork in the last few days after 8 years of, again, these are people who perpetuated the, people used to think it was just right-wing people who would be perpetuating this nonsense, but for 8 years, of me talking to establishment Democrats and getting their opinion that Islam is dangerous, we need to be bombing these countries in order to stop terrorism, when the fact of the matter is we have done nothing but create radical terrorism. We have done nothing but radicalize these innocent people who we've been dropping bombs on and bombing their children, bombing schools, bombing hospitals, bombing innocent people. So these brain-dead Barack Obama supporters, Hillary Clinton supporters, and Democratic establishment supporters who toe the Democratic establishment bullshit line that Islam even did anything to the United States on 9/11. They did nothing. It was the establishment government who, staged the terrorist attacks, and they staged so many other terrorist attacks since 9/11 and before 9/11. But now we get into the part that, all right. Well, let me just finish the Democratic establishment part. They have been perpetuating the lie for 8 years and probably longer, these corporate fascist establishment Democrats, that terrorism is an actual threat to the United States. You have more of a chance of getting hit by a bolt of lightning or getting attacked by a great white shark. And I'm talking about a much, much higher chance than being in a terrorist attack in the United States of America. Okay, that's the fact. It is more likely to be hit by lightning than to be in a terrorist attack. And, knowing this, why aren't we, carpet bombing the sky? If lightning is so, harmful for us, more harmful than radical terrorism, why aren't we bombing the ocean to kill all the sharks? So, it's a complete Islamophobic thought to think that, Islam is somehow responsible for the U.S. government staging terrorist attacks. It's not. But now I want to get into something wrong with the establishment Republican part of it. And believe me, there's plenty wrong, but keeping on this topic of recent Islamophobia in the last fucking 3 days in the United States of fascist America, keeping with this point, and also keeping with the shit you see on Facebook and on social media, the establishment Republicans, and now a great deal of the establishment Democrats, but mainly the establishment Republicans, are calling out feminists and I consider myself a feminist, and many others do too. But I mean, I'll do a video on feminism and fake white corporate establishment Democrat feminism versus real feminism. I'll do a video on the difference between the real feminism and fake feminism, but keeping with the establishment Republican thing right now, they're criticizing people who are against the Muslim ban because it is clearly misogynist and racist and Islamophobic. The establishment Republicans are criticizing people who are saying that, it's a misogynist ban, who are also they're doing this by bringing up the point that in Iran, and again, Iran is no great country, and the United States would know that firsthand because the United States destroyed the blossoming democracy that was growing in the great nation of Iran. In the 1950s, the United States and the CIA deposed the democratically elected growing government of Iran and deposed them and put in place the radical right-wing theocratic state that Iran still has today. And so, yes, today in Iran there are laws that allow the execution of women and the execution of the LGBTQIA community and the execution of, any type of dissidents. And that is happening, believe me. But the establishment Republicans are now calling feminists in the West, or feminists who are protesting the Muslim ban, as hypocrites, because the governments of Iran also hate women, just like the government of the United States of America. So let's shut down this bullshit right now. First of all, I don't know what's less of a feminist ideal than holding the refugees of Iran accountable for the Iranian government's horrible treatment of women with their laws. The establishment Republicans are saying that Sharia law is the reason why people protesting the Muslim ban are hypocrites, and that feminists are hypocrites because they are protesting the ban. I can't think of anything just more illogical and ridiculous than and hypocritical of these establishment Republicans calling anyone hypocrites and anyone not feminists, when these establishment Republicans are supporting the bombing of women in these 8 countries. Not Iran, obviously. We're not at a war with Iran yet. Who knows? Tomorrow's another fucking day. But I can't think of anything more hypocritical than these establishment Republicans murdering millions of people for almost 2 decades, murdering millions of innocent people, women, innocent women in these countries, and then turning around and saying that the people of these 8 countries and the people of Iran and the people on the ban list and Sudan, calling these refugees and the people wanting to help these refugees anti-feminists, it is such a baloney point. And of course the fake left-wing, fake progressive, fake fake, the establishment Democrats, they have, as the opposition to these people, they have nothing to say because they support the bombing of these countries and the lie that radical Islam exists and is an actual threat. So the ridiculousness of the establishment Democrats, as I pointed out, with that confession bear meme, so many of these establishment Democrats support the ban and support the bombing and agree with the establishment Republicans that Islam is somehow a threat to the United States of America is completely ridiculous. So now we have establishment Republicans saying that we need to bomb 8 countries in the world and we need to ban 7 countries in the world of countries that our government has destabilized and caused the mass refugee crisis. Our American establishment government has caused this crisis. Now these establishment Republicans are saying that, they are not the anti-feminist ones. They are not the Islamophobic ones. It's the people who are protesting the ban because of what the United States has done to these parts of the world for almost 2 decades. So of course, the establishment Republicans in this regard, and in most of their regards, are completely nonsensical. And so that's one side of the establishment beast. But now the Democrats, who have all come out of the woodwork and have these half-ass corporate-funded protests that have no demands, the corporately funded sections of the Muslim ban protest believe just as much as the establishment Republicans that Islam and these 8 countries that we're bombing are the problem. And listen, when half of the Muslim ban protest, by which I mean half of them are establishment Democrats, and because they have all the money and all the power, the establishment Democrat media, they have the control of the narrative of the Muslim ban, their protests are completely ridiculous. Their bastardized version of the protest of the Muslim ban are that we should definitely be bombing these 8 countries, and that maybe it's a good idea to have extreme vetting, which is ridiculous and nonsensical and unnecessary. These establishment Democrats are saying, what? What are they protesting? If they are for the bombing of these countries, what are they protesting? Donald Trump? What is it? It's just controlled Democratic establishment opposition to turn our press, our journalism, news media into controlled opposition, Reds versus Blues Super Bowl, to sell Exxon commercials and Taco Bell commercials in between Rachel Maddow's warmongering. That's all it is. So we have the completely hypocritical Democratic establishment, which I feel is really the biggest problem here. Yes, of course, the establishment Republicans are going to say and do terrible things, and we need to protest them. Of course, they're going to be... This is the war machine party. The establishment Republicans, for how terrible they are, they tell you what they're going to do. For how terrible Donald Trump is, Donald Trump campaigned on, I'm going to kill their families. I'm going to escalate the bombing. I'm going to expand the bombing state. I'm going to do it. For how terrible they are, they say what they're going to do. And the establishment Democrats and the bullshit Hillary Clinton people and the bullshit Barack Obama people and the bullshit Rachel Maddow's, Anderson Cooper's, John Oliver's, NPR's, they all come out and say how much they love Islam, how much they love Muslims, and it's bullshit. they are doing nothing but perpetuating controlled opposition to completely destroy protest on the left in order to make a controlled opposition Reds versus Blues protest with no actual demands, that have no actual power to do anything by demanding something of protest. All they do is say gross generalizations about how much they love Muslims and how much we have to respect Islam, while perpetuating the fucking lie that Islam is violent in the first place. Okay, so that establishment Democrat meme, and I didn't even tell you about the confession bear meme. What really got me upset about it, this controlled opposition, brainwashing, establishment Democrat, corporate fascist media brainwashing tool, this meme, this Facebook page, but the meme got, I looked, it got 16,000 likes. It got 16,000 likes. That means 16,000 brainwashed establishment Democrats, I love Barack Obama, I love Hillary Clinton, establishment Democrats all thought they were right. And these are the people who claim to be protesting Trump's ban. The same people, establishment Democrats, who are saying that we need to be banning these people, that we need to be deporting these people, and that we need to be bombing these people. This establishment Democrat Facebook page, let me tell you, it was the most pro Barack Obama, the most pro Hillary Clinton, the most pro Barack Obama is my best friend. He's got a great smiley face. I love the things he says. He's such a great guy. He respects Islam so much, and it's complete bullshit. But the corporate fascist media is brainwashing people on the left, on the fake left, into controlled opposition, into a type of left-wing protest that's not going to do anything. So this is why, and a lot of people have said this, I'm a big fan of Jimmy Dore. We all know Jimmy Dore. I'm not the biggest fan of the Young Turks, but Jimmy Dore definitely has a lot of great things to say, and he's got a lot of great things to say. But what Jimmy Dore and a lot of other people say is that the Democrats are worse than the Republicans, and that's goddamn right. That's correct. I'll say it again. The Republicans tell you what they're gonna do. Donald Trump, I'm gonna wipe out their families, and we gotta get their families. We gotta keep bombing. We gotta advance the war on Islam, on quote-unquote radical Islam. They tell you what they're gonna do. But Rachel Maddow comes out every fucking night and talks about how much she loves Islam while writing books about how we need to keep perpetuating the war state in these countries, and talking about how we need to keep up Barack Obama's drone bombing kill state because Islam is dangerous. And they keep on talking about how dangerous Islam is. And then they turn around in these first few days of the Trump presidency, after 8 years of full-throatedly supporting Barack Obama's kill state, now coming out of the woodwork and saying that how the actual left movement, how the actual democratic socialist movement, or not just democratic socialists, but actual left-wing anti-war protesters, how we, for the last 8 years, protesting the bullshit and Islamophobic genocide of Barack Obama, the establishment Democrats are now coming out of the woodwork and telling us how wrong we are and how bad we are for voting Jill Stein and the Green Party, how bad we were for not voting for Hillary Clinton and the establishment Democrats who had perpetuated this war state for 8 years. And we didn't vote for the Democrats, we voted for Jill Stein because we knew damn well that Hillary Clinton would have been a bigger warmonger than Donald Trump. We know damn well that there is no difference between Barack Obama and Donald Trump, but we know damn well that there would be even less of a difference between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Think about it. Imagine if Hillary Clinton had won. Imagine if the Democrats had been able to rig the completely election frauded election, and they were able to get Hillary Clinton to have enough fake votes to beat Donald Trump. And let's be serious, Donald Trump won the popular vote. Donald Trump, and it has nothing to do with voter suppression or immigrants or minorities doing it. It has to do with election fraud and how our election system is done completely on machines, and how now our government now controls our elections completely thanks to Barack Obama. Donald Trump won the popular vote, and it has nothing to do with immigrants. It has to do with the rigged election system owned by the establishment government. But I digress. Imagine if Hillary Clinton had become president, and all of the things she had been saying in the campaign about Syria and about Russia and about imposing immediate sanctions on Russia, what do you think would have happened? You'd think there would have been a global war that would have quickly ended in nuclear annihilation? Let me give you my thought on what would have happened if Hillary Clinton had won. The next day, Barack Obama would have announced those sanctions, and the next day after that, the United States and Russia would have been at war. Okay? Look, I think war with Russia or war with China right now with Donald Trump right now is very foreseeable. Don't get me wrong. I think Donald Trump is going to... I think the establishment Democrats wanted war with Russia, and I think the establishment Republicans and Donald Trump now want war with China. And so getting back to Islamophobia, because the Islamophobic movement in the Middle East of the United States of America bombing these countries, this is a 20-year powder keg waiting to go off. A 20-year powder keg between a war with the United States, Russia, probably China, is very much on the horizon. NATO is, all the bases are being loaded up with troops. Rachel Maddow is beating the drum for global warfare. All of this, but we now have a completely corrupted establishment system that is doing the Democratic establishment is doing nothing by way of actual protests, and that's why we need to finally create a people's movement against the corporate fascist state. Okay? This video is about Islamophobia. We will never defeat Islamophobia and perpetual warfare for profit in the United States of America unless we take down the corporate establishment. And one of the first ways we need to do this is by turning off Rachel Maddow, turning off CNN, turning off NPR. Sane Progressive, Debbie Lusignan talks about how we need to unsubscribe from our cable prescriptions, at least the cable news subscriptions. We need to turn corporate media off, and we need to create an independent mass media people's movement to get the truth out about Islam and about 9/11 truth and about perpetual warfare for profit based on phony, made-up lies about Islam. We need to create this people's movement, or these protests are going to be as ineffective as they were, as they are going to be when they are corporate backed. Okay, I'm totally for millions of women going out and protesting Donald Trump. I'm for it, but what has happened since the women's movement? What was done by way of progress? When something is corporate backed and the narrative is controlled as, Donald Trump is mean, Donald Trump is mean, and not the entire establishment government is taking away women's rights globally, then we're not going to have any progress. So we need to organize some sort of people's summit to come together, to form a democracy, to find common ground, to find the things that we can protest together. But more than that, more than just having a democracy, we need a republic. I want a people's democratic republic, so that, you know, we want libertarians and conservatives and anarchists and Republicans and Democrats and liberals and progressives and communists and democratic socialists all to come together to be able to have their voices heard in a democracy. But we also need a republic. We need a democratic republic. And when I say a republic, I mean we need facts, and we need science, and we need things that we can come together on that are undisputable, which is 9/11 was a phony attack, and that Islam is not some disproportionate, violent wave of brutal, uncivilized mongrel dogs throughout the world, when the United States is the biggest mongrel dog terrorist, murderer, perpetual war state for chaos in the world. We need to have facts in our people's movement, and those facts are that people of Islam, and there's no disproportionate number of people who are violent in Islam. Let's go back to Quebec City. Let's go back to the mosque. Was Dylan Roof a radical jihadist? Was the mosque shooter? I'm gonna refrain from using some of these names. I don't want to glorify white supremacist murderers, but look at the solution for this. When it's a white person in Canada, when it's a white Christian Donald Trump Canadian supporter, white male supporter, you don't see any people changing their Facebook profile picture to a Canadian flag. I'm with Canada. Remember Canada. I haven't seen any of those. That's bullshit. The Pulse nightclub shooting and the San Bernardino, those attacks, whether, let's just, for the sake of argument, let's just say that, yes, those were Muslim people who committed those crimes, for the sake of argument. You get a million I am San Bernardino. When it was the Pulse nightclub shooting, it was 3 weeks of coverage on CNN with round-the-clock coverage of Anderson Cooper in his titty shirt for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, ramping up Islamophobic fervor and bullshit. And then when it's a white male, it barely makes the news. It barely gets covered. When it's a U.S. Army guy who shoots up the airport a few weeks ago, it goes right out of the news. When it's a white male Christian American, but no one's with Canada. I don't see any I don't see any Canadian flags on people's Facebook posts, and that's because the United States of America and the West are the biggest Islamophobes and the biggest hypocrites in the entire world. And we will never get any change unless we protest Islamophobia on both sides. And when we protest Islamophobia and establishment corporate government. But yeah, we have a white shooter in Canada who hates Muslims, and when the establishment media can't lie and say it was a Muslim, it just goes out of the news. So this is the huge hypocrisy of the fascist states of America, who bomb 8 countries, who ban 7 countries, who deport, Barack Obama deported 2.5 million people, all this bullshit. And it's just hypocrisy. Islamophobia and Islamophobes, they're nothing but hypocrites. And we need real protests that can actually counter these nonsensical, non-fact-based ideas. We need real protest. So the point of this video was to show how the establishment corporate fascist state, the Democratic side and the Republican side, are complete Islamophobes, and how Islam has nothing to do with violence in the world, and staged terrorism events and sensationalized corporate fascist media have everything to do with the violence in the world. And that's what we need to be protesting. That's why we need to protest these hypocritical establishment Democrats as well as the establishment Republicans who tell you what they're going to do. We need to fight this system with a people's movement, a democratic republic of people of all different ideas and religions and races and walks of life and genders and everything. We need to come together. So, yeah, we need to organize. We need to create some sort of summit, some sort of coalition, some sort of thing that we can point to that's not corporate backed, that's not controlled by George Soros or David Brock. And I want to do a lot of videos on protest and the different ways we can protest, and I want to do a lot of videos on corporate protest and how it's a death trap. These corporate protests are death traps in the way that our revolution is a death trap, and Justice Democrats is a death trap, and Young Turks is a death trap. Because if we've learned anything over the last few decades, it's that these establishment parties are not going to be changed from inside. Donald Trump was a complete outsider. Donald Trump was for all of his horrible rhetoric, at least the outside of the establishment Republican fascists had to work against the establishment Republicans. And so now we need to fight against the entire establishment state. It's what we need to do, or Islamophobia will continue to be perpetuated in the world. But in conclusion, let me just make my final points about Islamophobia. This country is so horribly educated and so brainwashed by the media, and basically every part of our lives is controlled by the corporate fascist state, and basically every part of our lives perpetuates the nonsense that Islam is dangerous. And the biggest dangers are the Democratic establishment, who claim to be all smiley face Barack Obama about it, smiley face Hillary Clinton, smiley face Rachel Maddow, John Oliver, Anderson Cooper, but then will go on to sensationalize Islamophobic fervor. And I just woke up so horrible today, thinking that at least for the next 4 years, we're going to live in this Islamophobic state that we can't do anything about. And it's not true. We just can't let the establishment Democrats control the protests. So if we want to stop Islamophobia, we need to stop the establishment fake progressive fascist state. That's our first goal, is to create a people's movement to create our own media and our own system of sharing of information. But again, terrorism is phony baloney. Barack Obama's wars and George Bush's wars and Donald Trump's wars are nothing but to create profit for the war machine and to keep people scared. And it needs to stop. The United States has killed over 1 million people in the Muslim world due to direct warfare, not to mention poverty and refugees and people drowning and people being murdered and people starving to death. We've killed over 1 million people from the warfare, and the establishment Democratic media is not going to stop it. So we need to stop it. So we need to organize, and we need to fight back against Donald Trump and the establishment's Islamophobia, the entire establishment. We love our Muslim brothers and sisters, and we're gonna stand with them, and we're gonna fight, and we're gonna win. So thank you so much for listening. My name is Sandy Frank, and I'll see you in the next one.